Yo, what is going on, guys? You got Glop, and today I'm bringing you coverage of the RBCT. This is the Random Battles Classic Tournament, and it is a best of 7 series between you and an opponent, where you start with Gen 7 Random Battles. The loser will then choose their choice of Gens 1 through 6, and you play until one of you reaches 4 wins. So it could be over in 4, or it could go to Game 7, which is exactly what happened here with xGang. As you can see, we're both former members of Team Victini, so we're starting off with a team kill, unfortunately. I'm only going to be doing coverage of our first 2 games, because we played all 7, actually, so I don't want to put all of those in a video. The music, by the way, is from Pokemon Clover. I'm doing a playthrough of it, and a lot of people are enjoying that, so if you're interested, please check it out. Without further ado, my team was Ninetales, Dhelmise, Deoxys, BRUXISH, Frostlass, and Drampa. So, turn 1 here, Gang's going to send out Thundurus as I have Ninetales in the field, and immediately I'm noticing that this thing is a huge threat to my team. It pretty much outspeeds every member of my team besides Deoxys, and with a Nasty Plot under its belt, it can one-shot all of them, depending on its coverage, of course. So, my first thought is, okay, I need to get damage on this Thundurus if he chooses to set up right here. He's going to pull a switch into Hippowdon, and unfortunately I'm going to miss my Fire Blast, which is not a good start, but, you know, I've seen worse. I'm going to pull a switch into Dhelmise, he's going to get up his rocks, and from this position I say, okay, well if he lets me trap this thing for some reason, that would be really great. Which is exactly what happens. So I go for Anchor Shot, trapping him in here with me, and I'm able to knock him out with Power Whip in the following turn. Which is good, however, I guess I didn't really think that much into the future, because now I'm pretty much allowing Thundurus to set up for free. Not that I had a lot to stop that, but as I talked about in turn 1, I don't want that happening. So I have to sack Dhelmise here. I need to get off damage with Power Whip to put it in range of my other Pokemon's attacks. And then from this position here, I just need to sack off Dhelmise. I have no switch into this thing. And it's really unfortunate on this turn because I actually have to sack my Deoxys. As I mentioned, Thundurus is a huge threat, and BRUXISH Aqua Jet is not going to KO this thing. So I have to get off damage with Psycho Boost. And if I missed this attack, the game was pretty much over on the spot, which sucks. But I'm able to get off big damage. That's going to put it in range of Aqua Jet. And he actually pulls a switch into Primarina, which is really bad for me because I realized, okay, this thing is probably Scarfed, meaning that BRUXISH is not going to have an easy time sweeping. So I have to pull a switch here into Ninetales. I'm expecting a Moonblast, but my opponent makes a really nice play and ends up going for Scald. Thankfully, though, Ninetales does take 2 of these, and I'm able to get off some damage with Solar Beam, which you're going to see is very crucial a little bit later into this game. So I have to let Ninetales go down here, and I opt to go into my Frostlass thinking, okay, let me get up a Spike, let me see if I can somehow set up a sweep or a stage for my BRUXISH to go in. So I get up the Spike, and I figure, okay, I'm super down right now, I have to go for some hacks. So I'm going to throw off the Yellow Magic, as unfortunately it lands off to the left on the screen here. Which is pretty bad, because this thing being paralyzed would have given BRUXISH potentially an easier setup. But unfortunately, like I said, it does not hit. I go down to Stone Edge, and I get Cursed Body. And right here I realize, okay, I'm like so far down that I have to go off a choke, or I have to go off a misplay of their part. And basically here I click SD. Now if they had Knockoff, that was their best play, because I believe he confirmed for me later that it's Assault Vest on Kabutops. But he actually pulls a switch into Venusaur. So he might have had Rapid Spin, I'm not sure. Maybe he didn't have Knockoff as his final move, because they usually run Stone Edge, Liquidation, Jet, Rapid Spin, and Knockoff if they're Vest. One of those, like, 4 of those 5 moves. So I go for SD on the switch out, and this puts me in a very commanding position, because I'm able to knock the Venusaur out with Psychic Fangs, and as you're about to see, I can actually go for a kind of a mini sweep right now. So I go for Psychic Fangs, take out Kabutops, and right here, he's going to send out Primarina. And this is actually a roll, because Scarf does outspeed BRUXISH, so I'm forced to go for Aqua Jet here. I did the calc, and I have about a 69% chance of knocking this thing out. Not even joking. It's pretty nice. So you know your boy always gets the meme. Come through with the 26 roll, able to knock out Primarina. And that's going to seal the game, because as you can see, Zekrom here, not going to appreciate the Psychic Fangs, going to drop to it in 1 hit. And then, like I said, I do have Aqua Jet to pick off the weakened Thundurus. So this was kind of a wild game. I really felt like I was going to lose it, but thankfully BRUXISH came through, and he did not go for an attack when I set up SD. So that's game 1. Pretty quick game. We're going to transition now into game 2, which was in Gen 3, and that's a little bit of a slobber knocker. It's quite a long game, so we're going to switch over to that right now. Alright, we are back for the next battle. We're now playing in Gen 3. Back when I was on Team Victini, xGang is actually the person who took over for Gen 3 random battles for pretty much the rest of the entire tour, especially after my humiliating Corsola defeat. So, anyhow, my team at the beginning here is Metagross, Registeel, Ho-Oh, Hitmontop, Delibird, and xGang. So immediately I'm noticing that I have no hazards, which means that this battle is going to be a long one. Especially once we find out that his team also has no hazards. So, starting off here, it's Celebi versus Metagross. I want to scout for Thunder Wave, any kind of status, just get an idea of like what Celebi wants to do. So I'm going to pull a switch into my Registeel as he goes for Reflect. And this is going to allow me to get off a Toxic just to kind of like put a timer on this thing and just kind of force it out. Because although Celebi does have Natural Cure, I don't want it just sitting in forever, getting Calm Minds up, Baton passing off to a threat. I just wanted to get out as soon as possible. So he's going to Leech Seed as I go for Seismic Toss. And he's going to be around like 70% after all this. Yeah. And then here he's going to switch out. And I believe I do call a switch out myself. And so I went to Metagross there expecting some kind of other teammate. But he actually makes a switch into Magmar, which is going to force me out now into my Ho-Oh. And although I didn't want to reveal Ho-Oh on turn 5, I felt kind of forced to because I'm thinking, okay, late game, as crazy as it sounds, maybe xGang can sweep with Rain Dance. And I also just didn't want to reveal xGang. I wanted him to maybe think, you know, I had some other crazy Pokemon in the back. So I go into Ho-Oh here, knowing I have Whirlwind, Recover, I can pretty much wall every variant of Magmar. So he's actually going to pull switch into his own Ho-Oh. And it was funny because in the chat I said, yo, I'm nice, because I got the Ho-Oh. Well, it turns out he's pretty nice too. He's got his own. So right now we got Ho-Oh squad on the field. I'm going to be scared out here, just fearing maybe like him starting to set up. But I also want to go into Hitmontop just in case he does have to throw off a Hidden Power Flying. I really don't want my Ho-Oh taking any kind of damage, and I know I can scare this thing out with the Rock Slide. So he knows it has Rock Slide. I'm trying to bluff that here. So he is going to switch out into his Celebi as I'm going to call that out, pull a switch into my Ho-Oh, which is going to allow me to throw off a Hidden Power Flying this time. So Wigglytuff's going to come out, and I think here, okay, very obvious Toxic coming out. He wants to put Ho-Oh on a timer. That's going to open up a door for his Ho-Oh. So I call that out, go into my Registeel, and I believe here I go for a Toxic. No, actually S-Toss. Okay. And I think I Toxic on the following turn, which is again called out by him. He goes into Celebi, which is a good play. But really, I like any time that I can have this thing kind of like forced into a position that it has to switch out. So I go for an S-Toss, trying to force him into a recovered position. And here he makes a nice play, but I make a nicer play. So he, like, theoretically should have to recover here so that he's at a higher amount of HP. But ultimately, no matter what happens, he's got to switch out because he can't just stay in forever with Toxic. So I call out that he wants to switch out right now. So I actually go for a Toxic here on his switch to Wigglytuff. Like, his play was very good, but again, that's just me being one step ahead, knowing that, okay, my win condition is going to be getting everything Toxic because that's Gen 3 in a nutshell, if you don't have hazards. So, I get that play right, get a Toxic on the Wigglytuff, as he's going to Wish Up on my Seismic Toss. And I believe I stay in, or I might switch here. I do switch to Hitmontop here, which in hindsight is a misplay because he goes for Toxic. I get a very lucky dodge, but it was kind of me trying to expedite the process. As you're going to see in this turn, I go for Brick Break. Just wanted to get rid of something, wanted to put a kill on the board, which isn't necessarily a terrible play, but, you know, it's a little rushed. Either way, I'm able to pick up the KO as I'm actually going to scout for a potential switch, which he ends up making because he can save Wigglytuff for a sack on a later turn. So I get the commanding position here with Metagross, and here I make sort of a dumb play. I definitely should have Meteor Bashed the Celebi. So for those who don't know, there's a physical and special split in Gen 3. So Ice Punch is not very strong because it's coming off of Metagross's special attack. So as you can see, this Ice Punch doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Looking back, I definitely should have thrown off a Meteor Mash. Knowing that it has that chance to raise my attack stat would really put me in a good position where, you know, something has to take a very strong hit. Not to mention it does a lot of damage too, as you'll later see in the battle. So I go to Ho-Oh here on the Leech Seed, which I dodge, and this is a good turn for him to just sack off the Wigglytuff. So I'm scared out by Cordelia. I don't want to take a Rock Slide or anything like that. He makes a very nice read and goes for Hidden Power on my switch. I believe that's Hidden Power Fire. as he can then just go back into Celebi knowing that I probably want a Toxic, and I definitely do want to Toxic that Cradily. If I get Cradily weakened, that's going to open up a door for Seaking the Sweet late game. So he's going to go for Leech Seed as I go for yet another Toxic. And it's kind of just a stalwart between this Registeel and Celebi. It's going to kind of be like the whole mantra of the game, if you will. So he goes for Psychic here, and he makes a very nice read in this turn. He predicts that I'm going to be going for Sacred Fire, and he goes out to his Ho-Oh. And that's good for him, because Ho-Oh has pressure. There's no Regenerator in this game, of course. So he just burned off 2 of my Sacred Fires in 1 turn. So I've only got 6 of those left now.
You shitting me?
So here it really sucked, because he goes for T-Bolt, revealing that he's a specially based set, and he actually gets the Para. And having watched this replay again, I feel like this Para was really huge. I'm not going to say it cost me the whole game, but I definitely would have had a much easier chance. And you'll see that come into play. So I go for Hidden Power Flying here, weakening this Ho-Oh. I still don't know if he has a Recover at this point. So he goes for another Thunderbolt. Thankfully, I do not get parried. I'm able to get off my Recover, now revealing that I have that move. So he sees this and goes for Reflect, which is going to help him mitigate damage from the incoming Hidden Powers. And right here, I tried to go for Whirlwind because I saw Reflect, and as soon as I saw that, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is probably a Reflect, Calm Mind to attack with Thunderbolt and Sacred Fire. I've actually seen that set before, so I tried a Whirlwind here, but unfortunately, the Paralysis does not allow me to do that. So I'm forced to take this +1 Thunderbolt the next turn, which then allows me to go for the Whirlwind. And here Celebi is forced out, so I say, okay, this looks like a good opportunity to Sacred Fire. And it was a good opportunity, except for the fact that I missed a 95% accurate move, which really sucks, because I had a good chance of burning the Cradily with that, which would have kind of pushed me towards that endgame with Seaking. So I'm forced out here. I'm never going to let him get a chance to Rock Slide on this thing. So he makes a very nice double going into Ho-Oh, expecting the Metagross to come out, which is going to allow him to get some more Leftovers recovery on it, and it's going to allow him to also throw off a Sacred Fire. But of course, I know that he'll never let it take a Rock Slide, so he's going to pull double, and so am I. Again, trying to keep up the pressure, trying to get Ho-Oh in a good position to just throw off these really strong attacks. So this time I actually managed to land a Sacred Fire, which is crazy. And I get a burn on Celebi, but you're going to see it doesn't really matter because he can just switch out with Natural Cure. And he's able to get in Ho-Oh again. So he's going to go for Thunderbolt, as I believe I go for another Hidden Power, but unfortunately it doesn't happen because Paralysis is really good. I'm able to recover up here, and I believe on this turn he goes for Calm Mind, and I predict that with a Whirlwind. Now this is kind of a dangerous position because Medicham, very strong Pokemon. I know it's gonna have Rock Slide, so I kind of make some schmoves here. I'm gonna pull a switch into my Hitmontop knowing a Rock Slide is coming out. And then I'm going to pull a double into my Delibird, because I know I can much more easily take the -1 Brick Break. And I'm able to take that hit, and I believe I just throw off an Aerial Ace here. Yep. And I get off almost half on Magmar, which is pretty good. That's probably thanks to Hustle. I then make a really nice call here. So it looks kind of stupid because you're like, okay, Magmar's faster than Delibird. He could have very easily just killed me with Fire Blast. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, my opponent is down in the game. He's down a Pokemon. It looks like it's very tough to break through my core. So I'm thinking, okay, let me call out this aggressive double switch because he's got to do something to put himself back into a good position. So I call it out by staying in and going for Aerial Ace once again. And of course here, though, I am going to be forced out. So I go pull switch back into my own Ho-Oh, knowing it deals with it, as he pulls a double, expecting some kind of switch out on my part, but it doesn't really gain him anything when I have Ho-Oh on the field. So I try to go for an attack, and yet again I am paralyzed. He's going to pull a double, knowing that I cannot stay in with my Ho-Oh, and he's able to get an offer recover here with his Celebi. As I go into Registeel, looking back, I probably should have just meter matched there, but again, my game plan this whole game was kind of like, get the Celebi status, get it to switch out, pull your switch, and get your punish. So we're kind of just sitting in here, and right here he realizes, okay, I can't let me pull any kind of like aggressive switches, so he throws off a Psychic, knowing that it'll be okay, thanks to the Leech Seed that he put on me. And then he's going to switch out into his Ho-Oh, as I pull a switch, not wanting to take extra damage from Leech Seed. So Cradily's going to come out once again. I actually managed to get off an attack this time, which is awesome. And then, of course, I'm going to pull switch into Metagross, as he actually tries to Rock Slide me there. And like I said, I'm never going to give him that chance. I will never risk that. So I pull another switch into Delibird. Oh my god, this game's going fast. I pulled a switch there expecting maybe Medicham to want to come out on a double, but he ends up going into Magmar. So I'm forced out here. Pull switch back into Ho-Oh, knowing that I can deal with any kind of variant, and it does reveal the substitute. So I know I'm pretty free here to just go for Whirlwind and get this Magmar off the screen as Ho-Oh comes back out. And I think I just throw off a Hidden Power Flying here. I should go for Sacred Fire, which I don't know if that was the best play. I think I might have expected some kind of switch on his part, maybe into Cradily. But he makes a nice call, just stays in. So now I'm down to 2 Sacred Fires. So I've got to be careful with those. He goes for Thunderbolt, as I believe I just Hidden Power Flying. Yeah. And here I start getting a little bit crazy. I think this is where I just start throwing off a lot of Hidden Power Flying. Because I'm like, okay, let me just kill off this Ho-Oh. If I do that, Metagross has such a good shot. So here he's going to switch out, not risking that. And I get paralyzed yet again. I know for sure, though, I did not click Recover that turn. So it's not like it mattered a whole lot. I then see this as a position to just sack off my Hitmontop. Looks like it's kind of used up its usefulness. I really don't want anything else taking a big hit. So I go for Rock Slide just in case he like choked and tried to switch out to, I don't know, Ho-Oh. But of course he makes a good play, just recovers up. This is going to allow in my Metagross, and here you're going to see that, well, you're actually not going to see because it lands off to the side, but in the following turn you're going to see that I should have been Meteor Mashing this thing the whole time because I do a great amount of damage to it. I think I do like 44% with Mash. Yeah. And normally this would be a good position for me because I could get an attack raise, but unfortunately I'm leech seeded, so I've got to get out of there, pull switch into my Ho-Oh, and then he goes for Reflect as I get paralyzed, which sucks, but he would have lived any attack no matter what, so I then pull a switch in Registeel, not wanting Ho-Oh to get leech seeded. I want to try to keep its health as high as possible. I'm then going to pull a switch into Metagross here, and I think at this point I'm getting a little bit tilted because there's been a little bit of like hacks, things haven't been going my way. Also, I just had deja vu. This is weird. But anyways, like, the game is still very much in my court, but so much has, like, happened in the last couple turns, it's been annoying. I think I started getting a little bit tilted here, so anyhow, you're going to see me get tilted once again as I go for Psychic. And I don't know why I went for Psychic. I had no reason to go for that play. Maybe I was expecting a switch out into Ho-Oh in his part. I think that's what it was. I didn't want him to like recover up from the Leech Seed and the leftovers, but again, I should have just been Meteor Mashing. So again, I'm making a little bit of misplays here, but it's still like heavily in my favor. Magmar is going to come back out as I pull a switch into Registeel, and this is where Gang just starts like rocking my world because he makes an insane call here. I should have just gone Ho-Oh, had no reason to stay in. But I figure, oh, let me get off a Toxic, right? No, I get punched in the face, which is definitely not worth losing Registeel. So that sucks. And then I try to do the same thing here. I'm like, okay, he's not going to stand on my xGang, right? I'm a water type. Easy double switch, right? No, sir. This man calls my switch once again and goes for Focus Punch. So now I realize, okay, I'm really fucking up. Like, I have a Ho-Oh. I should just go into it. So I'm finally going to make that play. And I'm able to get in Ho-Oh. And I believe here he just starts sacking it off. No, he does go into Cradily as I go for Hidden Power Flying, and I get a crit, which is nice because it basically means he has to recover, and I'm able to get a switch back out into my Metagross as he tries to Rock Slide, and I've already mentioned I'm never giving him that chance. I'm not going to lose my Ho-Oh just like that. So Magmar is going to come back in on the Mash, going to do a significant amount of damage, and he's basically kind of forced to sack Magmar here because it's really not going to get many other opportunities, so I'm going to go into Ho-Oh, tank the Fire Blast, and then I'm going to recover up on the following turn, knowing that he's going to just be sacking off this Magmar. It doesn't really make sense for him to save it, because he's able to get a kill, basically, next turn. So, it's at this point that I realize I have to formulate some kind of a game plan. And the game plan is basically to let Medicham come in and just sack off Ho-Oh here, because I want to get into a position where everything is weakened, and then Seaking can sweep. Because my Seaking has Mega Horn, I ran a Calc, 100% KO Celebi from full health. I've got Cradily at 56%, which is almost, it's pretty much in range of Mega Horn if I get a little bit of a higher roll. But I'm sure I can get off extra damage on that thing, or I can force a sack of that thing if I play my cards right. So I'm actually going to let Ho-Oh go down, because I realize I also need damage on Medicham in order for this Seaking to sweep. So I go into Metagross here, and I'm like, okay, let me just go for Mash, get a big amount of damage off. and I realize I've got an attack boost. I have no reason to go for mash again. I can just safely quick Earthquake, but unfortunately, I get crit in this turn. And that really sucks, because getting Medicham out of the picture would have meant he had one less sack, as we're going to see is very important in the endgame. So if I'd gotten rid of this Medicham, I truthfully do feel like my Seaking swept. I would have had to make some calls, but it would have been a lot easier. Either way, though, he gets a crit, and it definitely changed a lot of the game plan. So here, he's just going to sack off his Cradilly, which I'm like, okay, that's kind of nice, you know, not have to worry about getting a high roll with Mega Horn. I'm able to pick it off with Ice Beam in the following turn. But it's annoying because my game plan was to have Metagross in and then be able to choose if I went to Delibird or Seaking. Because of the way things played out, I was forced to go just into Delibird. So now I have Delibird in versus Celebi, and it's pitiful because Delibird blows. It can't do anything. So I've got to go for Ice Beam here, just trying to get off as much damage as possible, as he's able to cleanly pick up a 2-hit KO with Psychic. And all I can do is Ice Beam, like hoping for a freeze or something, but I'm not able to get it. So Delibird will go down in the following turn, and then I just have to say, fuck it, I've got to go for it with Seaking. So I set up Rain Dance as he goes for Leech Seed, I believe. Yep. And Gang is no stranger to Gen 3. Like I said, very skilled player, knows the format very well. He knows I had Mega Horn. And even if I didn't go for Mega Horn here, let's say I went for Ice Beam, right? He pulls a switch into Ho-Oh, which is still a good play, because I feel like Ho-Oh definitely would tank an Ice Beam. And it would still allow another turn of the rain, so I understand his play. I wanted to pump there, but I kind of just, you know, didn't make the play. But here I'm able to just throw off a Hydro Pump and knock out the Ho-Oh. But you're going to see that rain turns are going by much faster than I would like. And right here, I decided to be such a wiener. Like, I should have made this call. If I made the call here, I think I won the game. Maybe. Because he goes into Celebi as I go for Pump. Now, if I had Mega Horn there, Medicham would have come back out. It would have been at like 80-something after Lefties and Leech Seed. So, now that I think about it, maybe it didn't matter. I'm just thinking about rain-boosted Hydro Pump and if it would have KO'd. As I think about it now, I think I had to make the call of the Ho-Oh switch, just so that Medicham couldn't keep getting all these lefties. Or maybe not. I'm sure Gang, if he's watching this, he'll be able to tell me how it would have played out. But either way, I don't make a play. I click the move that looks good, which is Hydro Pump. And it's basically going to seal the game, because here I go for Ice Beam, because literally my game plan is like, okay, I have to freeze Celebi so that I can try to set up Rain again, but it's not going to matter because I don't get the freeze, and that's going to be the game, because Rain goes up, and he can just outspeed me in the next turn and knock me out with Psychic. So that was game 2. I definitely got tilted throughout this game. I still think I played like really well for the majority of it. I know we were talking in our DMs. He was like, "Yo, that was a great game. Like, I had a lot of fun." So I'm not too mad about my performance. It's kind of what I expected, but I feel like if I had just like composed myself a little bit better, and if I had, you know, bossed up, made some calls at the end, I definitely could have won the game. But that's going to be it for this episode. So there's more Pokemon Clover to come. I still want to do more coverage of RBTT. And then I will be finishing up this series with Gang. I don't know if I want to do 3 in an episode, 2 more in an episode. I don't know. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Either way, that'll be it for today. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.